Thank you for being here. Thank you very much. One of the first things I did about 15 months ago was to come into a space like this and to meet the staff of the Kennedy Center. And it was far too long a period of time before I got to actually come back and start working here. Now, just 6 months ago, I think almost to the day today, I'm here to share plans with you for the 2015-16 season. It is been a great first 6 months. I would say that I'm spending lots and lots of time going to performances, getting to know the people and all of the artists who really bring this building to life. Actually, I think there's some models out there bringing the building to life with the beautiful blue and white gowns, and the facility looks really beautiful in anticipation for the Iberia Festival. So congratulations to our International Festival team who are making that happen now. We have quite a number of our programmers here in the room, and I would like to ask, before I get started, to have our programmers rise, because I want to give credit to the people who do so much work here. So if you would please rise, you the programmers. See, I told you my friends, the seat fillers. We are also really fortunate to have the great majority of our artistic leaders here today, and you're going to hear from them in just a minute, but if I could start by introducing them in any case. So we have Mason Bates, our new composer in residence. Mason. And next to him is Suzanne Farrell, our artistic advisor for ballet. Joseph Kallichstein, our artistic advisor for chamber music. You'll see. Jason Moran, our artistic advisor for jazz. And Francesca Zambello, who's our artistic director for the opera. And Philippe didn't get the word that that empty seat is his over there. It's okay. Philippe Auguin, who's our music director for the opera. Thank you all for being here. The NSO music director, Christoph Eschenbach, and POP's principal conductor, Stephen Reinecke, are out of town traveling today and aren't able to be with us. But you will hear about their programs shortly. All of these great artists and the programming directors are supported by a really talented and dedicated administrative staff, and many of them are here in this room. We cannot do our work without being able to have Wi-Fi. And we can do that in this room. We cannot do our work without having a building that is warm and secure. We have those individuals who are here to support us, and the great many others who help make it possible for us to put performances on the stage and audiences in seats. The Kennedy Center has some 2,000 performances each year, and each one is put together with integrity and value. We don't have time to go through all of those here now, but I'm really excited about next season, and I'm eager to share some of the highlights and the broad scope of what we have planned. You have lots and lots of details in your packets, and I encourage you to look at those. As you have no doubt heard me speak about in these first months here in Washington, I believe the arts are central to our society as they speak to the world around us and reflect the culture of our times. In the best possible way, art and the work of our artists communicate and reflect the truth in our world. It is my personal agenda to continue to place the artist at the center of all of our conversations, looking to artists to provide illumination and commentary about the experiences and events in the world around us. These artistic leaders who are central to the creative expression here at the Kennedy Center are certainly doing this work, and I look forward to deepening my relationship with each of them to encourage and to support their work. I also look forward to inviting additional artists to join this core of inspiring leaders to provide new perspectives and ideas. Our daily free performances on the Millennium Stage are a great opportunity for artists to provide their insight as we continue to explore the potential of the Millennium Stage. I also look to that venue in the future to support the expanding importance of the artist's voice in our work. I also want us to continue to explore different formats of performances, and you'll hear more about that shortly. We want to cross the conventional boundaries of genre, break down traditional labels which may limit experimentation and appreciation, and continue a great focus on American artists and themes while continuing the exploration of international cultures and their artistic ideas. This morning, I'll speak about the highlights of our work that reflect these goals and all of our details for these specific new programs, as well as our existing ones, are in your packets. So to begin, I'd like to spotlight a few series in which artists will come to the Kennedy Center to curate new programs for us. Starting with one artist who's already here but doing something new. The first one I'd like to share is a new series called Jason Plus. In addition to curating our full jazz series, Jason Moran will collaborate with performers across genre for an innovative set of performances with artists he admires. Programs include Jason Plus Skateboarding, Jason Plus choreographer Ronald K. Brown, Jason Plus Mason, welcoming Mason, well, that's nice, Jason Plus Charles Lloyd, the noted saxophonist, and a fun evening of Jason Plus Gershwin. Jason and Jeremy is co-presented with Washington Performing Arts, featuring Jason and classical pianist Jeremy Denk on dueling pianos. Through this program, a much larger Kennedy Center audience will get to know Jason Moran as an artist and without the confines of genre-specific programming. We are delighted to offer Jason this freedom to express himself as an artist, and we are excited to see how Jason Plus unfolds. I'd also like to just take this opportunity to say congratulations to Mason for his great, Jason. This is a problem, Jason and Mason. Jason for his great work on the amazing score for Selma. Thank you and congratulations. I'm really proud that we have a new composer, the first ever composer in residence, Mason Bates. He is a fierce advocate of bringing classical music to audiences and of bringing new music to new spaces. We'll see this in his first project at the Kennedy Center, KC Jukebox. Using cutting-edge technology and bringing together forward-thinking instrumentalists, vocalists, and DJs from Washington and beyond, these concerts will spotlight the works of living composers as filtered through Mason's signature reimagining of the experience of music. I've had a lot of experience with this. You'll have fun. Mason will come up and speak shortly about this, and he can do it in a much more interesting way than I can. Another artist of note we will soon welcome to the Kennedy Center is virtuoso mandolinist and MacArthur Fellow Chris Thiele, who leads an exploration of the richness of string music in America in a series called American Strings, a Tradition of Innovation with Chris Thiele. The Grammy Award-winning band leader is also known for his wide-ranging collaborations and recordings that span from Bach to bluegrass. American Strings will culminate in June of 2016 with a weekend of performances, workshops, jam sessions, panel discussions, and a star-studded concert with the National Symphony Orchestra led by Stephen Reinecke. Our team is having a great time getting to know Chris, exploring the endless opportunities that such a residency at the Kennedy Center allows. I've had the great privilege in recent years to work side by side with Damien Wetzel to advance the concepts of artistry and citizenship. He is a retired New York City Ballet principal dancer, a director, a thought leader, and he will curate and host several programs here under the banner Demo with Damien Wetzel, a series of cross-genre collaborations and performances. The idea behind Demo is the opportunity for informal collaborations, new partnerships with artists, and also giving the stage to artists responding to themes and current events. I'm really happy about this programming and the experiences it will create for audiences. It's one of those miracle opportunities for me, having spent so many years working in just one part of the art form, to have this magnificent canvas at the Kennedy Center and these extraordinary people to work with to bring all of these interesting new approaches to programming. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, those are all men of a certain type, but that's where we are today. We have quite a number of other collaborations and artists that we'll be announcing in the coming months. To share all of the details of the 2015-16 season at the Center is all but impossible due to the extraordinary breadth and depth of our programming. I want to share with you now some of the projects and notable performances, not to minimize the importance of all of the programming, but rather to offer you just a bit of a view across the landscape. So here goes. In September, the season will kick off with Finding a Line, Skateboarding, Music, and Media, a multidisciplinary festival that celebrates a vibrant and influential American subculture by highlighting local artists, as well as the creative ties and improvisational elements shared between skateboarding and live music. I had a whole weekend discussing this, and I'm completely convinced and believe in it wholeheartedly. Spearheading the festival is our artistic director of jazz, Jason Moran. The festival also engages collaborations with the George Mason University School of Art and the DC-based nonprofit Cuba Skate. Avid skateboarder and artist Ben Ashworth is here today. Is Ben here? And I haven't met him yet. He's not here, sorry. He is going to design and construct a skatable structure outside the Kennedy Center. The finished ramp will transform the Kennedy Center grounds into a shared skate park and music stage, and this is going to be a really great and fun way to begin the season. On your way into the theater this morning, I hope you recognized one of the most famous melodies of all music. It's the soundtrack to my life, as my husband is a trombone player. You have no idea how much I've listened to The Ride of the Valkyries in my life. That is our way of reminding you that the Washington National Opera will be embarking on the Richard Wagner's epic Ring cycle for the very first time next spring. The Ring is opera's biggest, most daunting undertaking, but ours will be great. And our Ring is going to be directed by our artistic director, Francesca Zambello, and conducted by our music director, Philippe Auguin. It takes its cues from the American visual world as it tackles the themes of feminism, capitalism, the destruction of nature, and regeneration. I'm really proud of the work of the entire WNO team putting into making this Ring a reality, and I hope you will all be here to experience yourself. I know Jessica will be able to tell you just a little bit more about the Ring, and I will leave it to her rather than to share more myself. Other highlights of the opera season include an opening production of Carmen with 2 memorable and sexy casts and 2 really important company premieres, a newly revised version of Appomattox, the first opera WNO has presented by the iconic American composer Philip Glass. And then and actually Appomattox is really an important one. This world premiere is a revised version to mark the 150th anniversary of the end of the Civil War and the 50th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act. The other important opera next year, is Kurt Weill's Lost in the Stars, based on Alan Patton's novel Cry the Beloved Country, about apartheid in South Africa. Starring the great Eric Owens, who is our Flying Dutchman this week, opening on Saturday night. This work defies categorization as an opera, a musical, or a play. This very human story in a co-production from Cape Town Opera reminds us of how opera can entertain us with its spectacle while also tackling the extraordinarily important political and moral issues of our day. For our theater season next year, we're pleased to offer for 1 week only in October the Greek classic Antigone, starring Academy Award winner Juliette Binoche in the title role. The production is directed by internationally renowned Belgian theater director Ivo van Hove. Also in this season are 6 national touring shows of Broadway favorites, all of which have won multiple Tony Awards. Beautiful, the Carole King musical, Matilda the musical, A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, Kinky Boots, The Bridges of Madison County, and The Phantom of the Opera. We will also present 3 productions as part of the Women's Voices Theater, a wonderful collaboration across the city, highlighting women playwrights this fall, and we're happy to be a part of that. The big news for the National Symphony Orchestra next season is an important tour of Europe in February of 2016. The orchestra will perform in some of the continent's most prominent and respected concert halls in a broad range of cities, including Wrocław, Poland, which is Meister Eschenbach's birthplace. That should be a wonderful evening. He and the orchestra will showcase their talent alongside world-renowned soloists Lang Lang and Daniel Müller-Schott. Next year for the NSO season, we're making some changes to the concert format, reimagining some of our Friday evening subscription concerts. First is a coffee concert series of four daytime performances on Fridays at 11:30 a.m. This start time avoids both rush hours and includes offer of a buffet breakfast prior to the concert in the KC Cafe. The other series is Declassified, Fridays at 9, a new series of performances presenting classical music with a little bit of a twist. Each performance will last about an hour and a quarter from the start time of 9 p.m. There will be no intermission, and patrons will be able to take drinks into the concert hall. So it'll be a little bit of a different feel for the performance that evening. No intermission, and we will have lots of activities in the lobby afterwards. The series kicks off on December 4 with pop icon Ben Folds performing his piano concerto with the orchestra. The NSO season overall is a really strong one. It includes the continuation of the Mahler cycle with Maestro Eschenbach, and it features 15 debut artists, 12 performances of new works to the NSO, and in addition, the NSO will premiere 2 new commissions from Tobias Picker and Sean Shepard. The NSO Pops, under Principal Pops conductor Stephen Reinecke, will feature 2007 Kennedy Center Honors recipient Steve Martin and other guests including Boys to Men and the Von Trapps and others. An increasingly important aspect of the NSO's work and identity is its service to our region, and next season the NSO will continue its community programs, including In Your Neighborhood, Sound Health, and all of the family and youth concerts that it offers to families and kids of all ages. The Fortis Chamber Music Concerts continues its trademark blend of internationally recognized performers of chamber music and highly gifted artists. Next season is the 19th with Yossi as artistic director, and he will give you just a little bit more about it. I really love this series in the Terrace Theater. They offer about a dozen concerts, and it includes a huge wide range of repertoire, from a program of Renaissance music by the world-renowned Tallis scholars to a new Fortis commission from composer David T. Little with the popular Eighth Blackbird performing. For our contemporary dance season, it was a special opportunity for us to join with the Joyce Theater as lead commissioners on a new work from Twyla Tharp on the occasion of her 50-year anniversary. The Kennedy Center has a long history of working and presenting Twyla Tharp's work, and she received the Kennedy Center Honors in 2008. The dance season, which will also include performances by Paul Taylor Dance Company and Cloudgate Dance Theater of Taiwan, will kick off on the Millennium Stage with 2 world premieres by our 2015 local dance commissioning project winners. We are really pleased and honored to offer our ballet audiences one of the very best seasons that you can find anywhere in the world. It represents classical, contemporary, American, and international work by the world's most renowned composers, choreographers. There you go. Next year, we have American Ballet Theatre bringing Alexei Ratmansky's new Sleeping Beauty, and National Ballet of Canada bringing Christopher Wheeldon's The Winter's Tale. Next year, the Royal Swedish Ballet returns for the first time in 17 years with innovative choreographer Mats X, Juliet and Romeo. And of course, our own, the Suzanne Farrell Ballet, will open the season with a program including the company premiere of Balanchine's Emeralds. I'd like to just take a note now to say that Suzanne just returned from Moscow, where she and her company, she led her company in an artistic partnership with the Theater Ballet Moscow. Every day of that tour, the 2 companies were able to come together for class with Suzanne to learn from one another and then perform together as well. I'm really proud of this and what it means about cultural diplomacy that you were able to be there. So congratulations, Suzanne. For the jazz season, Jason has also planned a new series titled A Family Affair, highlighting the long-standing history of jazz artists in the same family, either performing together or as legacy artists. Jason will give you a little bit more flavor of this season when he speaks shortly, and also to share the wide breadth of the programming that we offer here. From May 16 to June 15, 2016, The Kennedy Center will present an international festival. Already we're planning the next festival. We haven't really kicked off this festival, but we're already planning the next one. And this one will present, highlight Irish culture and its relationship to America. We're delighted to collaborate with the Embassy of Ireland to highlight the special relationship between our countries and cultures. The festival includes dozens of performances from some of Ireland's best contemporary dance, music, and theater artists. Celebrating a century of Irish arts and culture is a part of a larger global celebration marking the 100th anniversary of the Easter Rising in 1916. John F. Kennedy was the most well-known Irish-American president and the first sitting U.S. president to visit Ireland in 1963. We can't start celebrating Ireland until we celebrate Iberia, though, so that's the most important next issue. I love being in this theater, and I have attended 3 of the performances this fall, and I'm really proud of the programming that we offer for young audiences that takes place here. Since this theater opened in 2005, and including our plans for next year, the Kennedy Center has commissioned or co-commissioned and premiered 41 new works for young audiences. I think that's really remarkable. Yes, let's clap. And after being off the road since 2012, the Kennedy Center will take Theater for Young Audiences back on tour and relaunch an 11-week tour next year of Elephant and Piggy's We Are in a Play, based on the beloved books by Mo Willem. I'm really, really excited about this. We are also launching a new partnership with the United States Botanic Garden, which will result in the creation of 2 brand new productions for young audiences that will play at the garden, one in the outdoor amphitheater and one bringing audiences on a theatrical journey through the garden itself. We are also really proud to continue our sensory-friendly programming offerings next season. Sensory-friendly programs are designed to create a performing arts experience that is welcoming to all families, especially those with children who have autism or other disabilities that create sensory sensitivities. Next year, we will have sensory-friendly performances in our Theater for Young Audiences, for the National Symphony Orchestra, for the Washington National Opera programming, and we hope to announce more in the coming months. Many of our artistic programs have educational aspect at their core, but we will also be providing educational-related experiences with many of the artistic offerings already mentioning. We could have a separate press conference just about all of the education activities here, and I really wanted it to be a part of this time now for you to understand the importance this is to me and my agenda here, but also to let you know about the important and broad scope of the activities that we have. I'm just going to share a couple of them with you now. In just 6 years, our Any Given Child program has reached over 1 million students. We have 16 active sites all over the country, and we will name a few more this year. Any Given Child assists communities in developing and implementing a plan to ensure equal access to all arts education for students in grades K through 8. Last month, we had representatives from all the sites here in Washington for a gathering and meeting, sharing ideas about what works and what could be done better. And my opportunity to meet with that group was really inspiring for me. For the past 6 months, I've been getting to know the history of our programming and the extensive relationships of artists from around the world who come to the Kennedy Center. As I get to know the center, its artists, and importantly, its audiences, I look forward to having perhaps an increased influence on our artistic identity. This is just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg. I want to say thank you to our programmers who are great partners. It's been a busy few months, and there are many more busy months ahead of us. I'd now like to ask our artistic leaders and individuals to come forward one at a time. So we'll start with Mason. Will you please join us? Tell us a little bit about what you're thinking, Mason.
It's great to be back in this part of the country. I grew up in Richmond and grew up coming to the Kennedy Center. Obviously, a lot has changed in that time, but it means so much to me to come back to a place that was so formative in my education. My role here will be in advocating for experiencing new art in ways that are fun, are challenging, immersive, and even social. An example of that would be the opening of the Jukebox series. There's a show called Lounge Regime, 100 Years of Ambient Music. And when I was walking through these beautiful spaces, I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to have a kind of immersive experience that goes from 21st century electronic ambient music backwards in time through the 70s minimalism, and maybe at the end we get to the furniture music of the 1930s Paris salons. Also on the Jukebox series, we'll have a program devoted to composers responding to geography. Renowned local composer Christopher Rouse has a piece inspired by Hawaii. We have Gabrielle Elena Frank's kind of Peruvian reimagination of Bartok. We also have a concert featuring vocal works by, very large vocal works by two very important up-and-coming composers, Donica Dennehy and Anna Klein. And my work here will begin with the Jukebox series, but I'm really looking forward to working with all the constituents. There are several subscription weeks at the NSO. I absolutely am looking forward to my concert with Jason next year. There's been a lot of interesting conversations with the opera, with the folks at the Millennium Stage. It's a really wonderful place for a composer to be because, in a way, a composer is one of the few people that can sort of work firsthand with so many different art forms. And I'm very thankful to Deborah and the Kennedy Center for inviting me.
You'll notice that I'm doing this in alphabetical order so that there are no favorites. Everybody's the favorite. Suzanne Farrell, will you please join us? Thank you.
I sometimes feel like I'm the oldest person on earth because I'm rattling off numbers. But I feel young, and I'm looking forward to perhaps working with all these wonderful artistic directors and composers. The Kennedy Center's 15-16 season will include the 15th season of my own company, the Suzanne Farrell Ballet, the 24th year of exploring ballet with Suzanne Farrell. I can't believe it's that long. I've had a wonderful time. I don't feel that old. And that is my summer intensive course for young dancers and many other ballet master classes for students and adults. I never tire of teaching Balanchine and passing on his philosophy and legacy to our audiences and young dancers through so many different avenues here at the Kennedy Center. I started teaching master classes for the Education Department in 1993, an initiative that quickly turned into EBSF, an annual summer intensive program for ballet students. In 2001, the Kennedy Center helped me form my own company, and we are dedicated to presenting the works of my mentors, George Balanchine, Maurice Béjart, and Jerome Robbins. Over the past 14 seasons, my company has staged many rarely seen Balanchine ballets through the Balanchine Preservation Initiative and has engaged in artistic partnerships with several other companies besides Theatre Ballet Moscow. We returned, as you said, and it was historic, it was emotional, it was more than I anticipated in many ways. I had been there in 1962 as a young girl and never failed to realize how important it is to have the arts. Ballet is the youngest art form. We started much after opera and music, and so we are continuing to try to be out there for our audiences. Many of the dancers in my company started their ballet careers here at the Kennedy Center in the Summer Initiative program. Alyssa Holochuk, a former EBSF student, just retired as first soloist after dancing with our company for 14 seasons. It took me by surprise that she wanted to stop, but I respect her decision, and I will miss her. And I said, you can always come back, because dancing so gets under your skin. There's nothing in life that prepares you to be an ex-ballerina. I continue to pass on to every generation of dancers I am fortunate enough to work with. I'm especially thrilled that we have always been able to perform Mr. Balanchine's ballets and other choreography to the wonderful live music of the Kennedy Center Opera House Orchestra. Music was so important to Mr. B, and it's music that made me want to dance, so I'm really grateful that we have this extra. I love it when all the senses in the theater are satisfied and live music just adds more to the physical dance. This coming season, the Suzanne Farrell Ballet will perform Balanchine's Emeralds, among other repertoire. And like all Balanchine ballets, I find something new every time I stage a ballet, so I will find new things in Emeralds. And there will be new things for the audience to see as well. As always, I am pleased to teach numerous master classes for adults and youth and professionals and students alike. You are all welcome. I have had people, men and women, in advanced years of age along with me, so it's always an exciting event. So we look forward to seeing you at the Kennedy Center, at the ballet, or at the ballet bar. Thank you.
The man without a piano today, Yossi Kallichstein. Whoops, no, you lost it. Where is it?
Thank you. When I teach, I very often try to point out a chord or a note or a place in a work that both ends a phrase and starts a phrase. That's sort of like I mentioned the name of the Roman god Janus, who had a face looking backward and a face looking forward. I think we are very much at this spot in music, and I think the Kennedy Center is an amazing place to be in the forefront of that. And we try very hard to have those 12 concerts of the Fortis Chamber concerts do that, to both combine the past and the present and the future. And that's by many different things, by, of course, doing some of the classics. You'll hear Schubert and Beethoven. And by commissioning, like the David T. Little piece, but there are many, many other new works in the season. And by having composers have a take on their own take on the past. There's a Adagio by Arvo Pärt, based on Mozart. There's a Piazzolla Seasons based on Vivaldi. There's even a new piece that the Eighth Blackbird are bringing by Deborah, no, that's not her first name, Smith. Ooh, that's a takeoff, it's called Number 9, it's a takeoff on the Beatles. So who knew that the Beatles would be classics to be taken off on. But I think it's very, very exciting to be in the middle of trying to look in both sides and be a bridge. And I think chamber music, traditionally, if you look starting at Haydn, was always a place where composers let their imagination run wild. And we try very hard to do this with our programming. And I'm very excited and I feel privileged to be part of the new artistic ventures under Deborah's leadership. So thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Moran.
Thank you. The jazz season has always been about the conversation. The music has always been about the conversation. The one that is both aesthetic, sonically beautiful, but also the one that is complicated, built on the rich, complicated history of America. We are on the eve of Billie Holiday's 100th birthday, and we could only think of her poignant piece. She sang Strange Fruit, which just echoes all of the tendencies and all of the troubles, but also the hope, hopefully, that songs can bring. And in our jazz season, we try to curate musicians and artists who are aiming at this very core, both at one that leads their audience on an exploration through abstraction, because the form most of the time is coming without words, but is also on one of deep interior exploration. In our family series that Deborah mentioned, I have twin boys, and so I've actually chosen two bands that have twins in them, the Strickland brothers and the Anderson brothers, that have been working together, of course, since their birth, and have shared a lot, clothes and music. But we're also looking at a father and his two sons, the Whitfield family, the guitarist Mark Whitfield working with his sons. The music has always been this way. My favorite composer and pianist, Thelonious Monk, taught his son to play drums, T.S. Monk. It's been a long tradition within jazz, and it's one that we're aiming to kind of expose through this new series, the Family Series, or It's a Family Affair. And to also be very thankful of this opportunity to really explore this Jason Plus series. I've long been a person kind of trying to reach out to figure out what are the connections that jazz has to other forms, whether it's visual art, whether it's dance, whether it's film or theater. And in this series, I'm aiming at kind of igniting these conversations, the conversation with Jeremy Dank about, say, Bud Powell and Brahms, and where do they meet, and how do their catalogs of music complement one another. The conversation with my mentor, Charles Lloyd, who I've worked with for the past 8 years, how our work together has been one of enlightenment that I think has prepared me so well to stepping into this wonderful role as artistic director for jazz here at the Kennedy Center. So the season is full and vibrant, and clearly from what you've heard from everyone else, this will be a fun season, and I hope you join us. Thank you.
Growing up with a last name that began with Z and being the tallest person in the class, I suffered great trauma, but I'm happy today. I'm happy today to be last because I got to hear all my great colleagues and how it's so wonderful the ways that we interface with all of them. So a special shout out to them. Really, it's an honor to serve with people like you all. And so very big welcome to everyone who's here today. A welcome to our web audience. We have an exciting season next year. Deborah has talked about the highlights. I'll just go over a few things about it. And hearing you talking about chamber music very much connects to what I think about in Washington, where I find Washington a city that is timeless and contemporary. I often walk among all the beautiful classical facades here on the Hill, and I think about the history that's being made every day and the battles that are being waged behind these facades. And as an American artist working at the Washington National Opera, we try to honor what's best about the past and take our inspiration from the past, but also try to do better as we create something that speaks to the human condition today. We are here in America at the dawn of the 21st century. And like the city we live in, we produce works that I believe should be classical, contemporary, and American. When I start to plan a season with my colleagues, I don't look for themes to connect the works, but themes seem to evolve as we emerge in our planning. And I think it gives all of us a way to understand opera in a context that can be dramatic, musical, and of course philosophical. And next year, with the offerings we have, it seems that the ideas or themes of freedom and regeneration emerge as the things that connect everything. We are opening with Carmen, and yes, we all kind of go, oh God, Carmen, the gypsy music, that's great. But remember, it's all about a woman who is not respected because of her race. She is without a home. Her only power is sex. What does she get for it? Death. We have a star-studded cast. We have a wonderful new production team. And a great conductor. Deborah mentioned Appomattox. It's an honor to finally present Philip Glass in an opera here at the Kennedy Center, and also in a work written with Christopher Hampton, one of the greatest playwrights of our age. This work has, of course, been completely reconceived. It does deal with the first half is about the Civil War, which we can reflect on 150 years ago. And the second act takes us to 50 years ago when MLK and LBJ were battling and eventually hammered out the Voting Rights Act. And then it allows us to ask questions about today, where are we 50 years on from that? I think you will be surprised and astonished by the cast that we've assembled for that, many of them playing double roles in each act, playing very important historic and very theatrical characters. In the middle of the winter, you will see all of our young artists as we continue our classical series of holiday entertainment. We'll be presenting Hansel and Gretel. You also will have a chance to experience our amazing young artists as we continue our American Opera Initiative, where we will present more world premieres of works, 3 20-minute operas, a 1-hour opera. And then we will do Lost in the Stars, which brings us to another first in the season, coming back to the Eisenhower Theater, where we have not produced in over a decade, and bringing not only the music of Kurt Weill, who has never had an opera presented here, but the great African-American poet Langston Hughes, who interpreted Alan Paton's novel, Cry the Beloved Country. The story deals with apartheid, but most importantly, it deals with fathers and sons and how they reconcile themselves. It is a co-production with the Cape Town Opera, and we will have the powerful and majestic Eric Owens in the title role. Yes, we all came into The Sound of the Valkyries, which I think it's appropriate being in the family theater because Kill the Rabbit is, of course, probably one of the best-known classical music things for kids in cartoons. We could not embark on the Ring Cycle without the collaboration that we now have with the Kennedy Center. We began building this Ring Cycle almost 10 years ago when we were out of the Opera House at the DAR, and now we are able to bring together, I think, some of America's best musicians, chorus, orchestra, young artists, guest artists, supers, crew, children, creative teams, and our esteemed music director, Philippe Auguin, who will lead us as we climb to the top of this Mount Everest. As we all know, and we'll have plenty of chances to discuss it, the Ring is perhaps one of the most contemporary works ever. It, like any great masterpiece, speaks to us today. It deals with themes, greed, power, and we're in an appropriate seat for that, family, feminism, and ultimately regeneration. We will, of course, be offering tons of ancillary other things to do, which will satisfy music lovers, theaters lovers, and really give people a way into the Ring that they may not have experienced before. So I ask everyone to join us and to help us think about next year, which we in many ways are considering a season of firsts. Thank you very much, and thank you, Deborah.
Before we close, I just would like to offer a few thank yous. First, I'd like to recognize my friend and thank Kennedy Center trustee Adrienne Arsh for being here. Not only is her curiosity unbounded, but her enthusiasm for everything that happens here is really fabulous, and thank you for being here, Adrienne. I want to say thank you to all of my colleagues here at the Kennedy Center who have put up with me asking thousands of questions over and over again. Now, why do we do this? How do we do this? And being patient and responsive to me in every way. I want to recognize Daryl Ayers, who is at his last season announcement. He will be leaving us after 27 years working and building our education program, and he has one more month on the job. But I just want to say thank you, Daryl, for really extraordinary work and leadership. So I hope that we all can join together in the Russian Lounge, and we put it at that location so that you'd have to walk through and get a feel for what's going on with the Iberia Festival, and ask questions, stand next to the beautiful dresses, or explore some of the other things that we have here. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you and can chat with you in the Russian Lounge. Thank you.